Hi everybody, it's good to see you again after a month already because, well, the last time I made a video was maybe a month ago. I'm super excited to see you here because again in this video you are going to discover, or maybe you are going to learn something new about the Docker operator. I truly love the Docker operator. Why? Because, well, as you are going to see, the Docker operator can really help you. But you need to know exactly how to use it, what are the secrets about it, and why it is important for you. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel so that you won't miss any videos, and more importantly, you will stay up to date with the newest features of Airflow, and smash the like button. It's always good for the YouTube algorithm. That being said, let's get started. As usual, to better illustrate why a feature is important for you, I love to start with an example, and that's exactly what you are going to see right now for the Docker operator. So let's imagine that you have the following script, and you are very proud of that script. Maybe it is in charge of processing your data. But the thing is, this script needs a lot of dependencies to run. For example, NumPy. Or maybe it needs scikit-learn. Or maybe it needs, Spark to run. The thing is, this script needs a lot of dependencies. But now, let's imagine that you are running Airflow with the celery executor. So you have one machine where the web server and the scheduler are running, and maybe you have another machine where your tasks are going to be executed, so an Airflow worker, then a third machine, a fourth one, and so on. Okay, so you have multiple machines where your tasks are going to be executed. But the thing is, as your script needs a lot of dependencies to run, you will have to install all of those dependencies on each machine. Otherwise, your script won't run. It won't work. And here's the very big issue. You will have to install those dependencies, you will have to maintain those dependencies, and you will have to make sure that those dependencies are not in conflict with the dependencies that are already installed on your different machines. So as you can imagine, you can really end up in a nightmare. But that's not all. As you know, in the context of Airflow, it can be pretty difficult at first to test your tasks because you have to deal with your DAG object, DAG1 objects, and so on. But the thing is, if you use the Docker operator, in that case, testing your tasks will be easier. Why? Because ultimately, your script, this one, will be nothing more than a script, a Python script, that will be built within a Docker image. And so the only thing you need to do in order to test your task is to test your script, and only your script, without having to deal with, the concepts of Airflow. So it's like, well, it's like you usually test your tasks in the context of Python. Then last but not least, as you know, Airflow has a lot of different operators that you can use, maybe more than 80 different operators, which is great, which is amazing, because that means you can interact with more than 80 different tools. But here's the thing, truly understanding each operator is quite long. And again, this is where the Docker operator helps a lot, because as long as you know the Docker operator, you can use it and run anything you want with it. For example, you want to extract data, you create a script for that, you put it in the Docker image, and you execute that Docker image with the Docker operator. You want to store your data, you create a script for that, and you put it in the Docker image, then you execute that Docker image with your Docker operator. So at the end, you just need to understand the Docker operator. I'm not saying that you shouldn't use any other operators. I'm just saying that with the Docker operator, you can use less operators than if you don't use it. So that being said, let's see exactly how to implement the Docker operator. Okay, let's say you have the following data pipeline, very simple with only two tasks. Well, actually one task now, T1 and T2 will be the Docker operator. If you are wondering what is add DAG and add task here, well, that means you don't know the task API, and if you don't know the task API, please take a look at it. It is the new way of creating your DAGs in Airflow. So that being said, how can you use the Docker operator in your DAG? Well, the first step is to install the Docker provider. So if you go to the Airflow documentation, you will find the apache-airflow-providers-docker. You have to install that provider, otherwise you won't have access to the Docker operator. Once you have it, it is pretty simple. You just need to import your Docker operator. So you type from airflow.providers.docker.operators.docker import the Docker operator. And that's it. Now you are ready to use the Docker operator in your DAG. So let's do that. Here we can create a new task, T2 equals to the Docker operator with a task ID equals to T2. And now what are the arguments that you can specify? Well, obviously the first one is the image that corresponds to your task. So for example, here, let's say that you want to use the Docker image of Python. You can type image equals to Python, then 3.8-slim-buster. And so that means whatever you're gonna do, you will execute your task within the Docker image Python 3.8. Now, keep in mind one thing. If you use Airflow in the context of, for example, the celery executor, that means you will have to make sure that your Docker image is accessible from all of your machines. So typically you will have to set up a local registry or an online registry where you will push your Docker image. Okay, but just keep in mind your Docker image has to be available from all of your machines. That being said, the second argument that you can specify is command. That corresponds to the command that you are going to execute in your Docker container. For example, echo, and let's say you want to print on the standard output command running in the Docker container. If your Docker image has an entry point, then you may not need to use that argument because the entry point of your Docker image will be automatically executed as soon as your Docker container runs. But it is good to know that, well, with the argument command, you can pretty much do whatever you want. For example, if you want to run a script, you will just need to type Python 3 and then myscript.py. Okay, so pretty simple. In addition, you can specify the Docker URL. And this is set to Unix. So Unix :var/run/docker.sock. And this corresponds to the Unix socket that the Docker daemon listening to. So basically it's the main entry point so that your Docker operator can interact with your Docker on your machine. If you don't specify a Docker socket, then you won't be able to run a Docker container using the Docker operator. And one last thing to note, if you run Airflow in a Docker container and then you want to use the Docker operator, so you will end up with a Docker container corresponding to your task running in a Docker container corresponding to your Airflow instance, you have to make sure that this docker.sock is mounted to the Docker container where your Airflow instance is running. Otherwise, again, you won't be able to run your Docker container inside your Docker container. Okay, don't hesitate to watch this part of the video again. It might be confusing, but you need to know that. And the last argument is network_mode. This one is more specific for Docker, but basically you have the choice between bridge and host. Usually you will set it to bridge, and that means you will have an internal network for your Docker containers separated than your network. If you use host, in that case, you will share the same network between you and your Docker containers. But again, you always want to set it to bridge. I mean, this is really common. Now you have that, save the file, and let's see what you get on the Airflow UI. Let's turn on the toggle of the DAG, docker_DAG, and click on it. Then let's wait a little bit until T2 is completed. And now it's done. Click on it, go to log, and you obtain the following output, which basically corresponds to what you specified as a command for your Docker operator. And here you obtain command running in the Docker container. This has been executed within the Docker container as shown right there. So now there is something that you need to know. By default, the last line that has been printed on the standard output is automatically stored as an XCom, and that's what you can see if you go to admin and XComs. You can see that the key is return_value, and the value corresponds to the output of your command. You can enable or disable this by modifying the argument do_XCom_push, which is set to true by default. And again, this argument is common to all of your operators. But now, what if you have like multiple lines actually? Maybe your command will output multiple lines and you want to store all of them within an XCom. How can you do that? Well, pretty easy. But first, let me show you how can you use your own Docker image. Let's say your goal is to run the following script in order to get the top recommendation for the stock Tesla, either to buy or to sell. So basically here you print the top recommendation on the standard output. So once you have your script, you create a Docker file, and in that Docker file you copy your script, in that case stock_data.py, and also you use the file requirements.txt where you are going to specify all the dependencies needed by your script. Once you have that, you just need to build your Docker image. So in your terminal, you will type docker like that, -t stock_image, the name of your Docker image. If you hit enter, you can see that the Docker image has been built. And now you need to tag your Docker image. I strongly advise you to do that. So basically you type docker tag and stock_image latest, which is the version by default, then stock_image and the version of your task. I always recommend you to do that because, well, you may need to modify your task, your script, and so each time you do that, you will build a new Docker image and you have to update the version of your Docker image. Otherwise, you won't know which version of your script is executed. So it's really a best practice. And by the way, you know, everything here should be done within a CI/CD pipeline so that everything is done automatically for you. Basically, running your tests, again your script, and then build the Docker image. So once you have that, go to your DAG, and here the only thing you need to change is the name of the image, so stock_image with the version v1.0.0, and instead of this command, you want to execute the script, so you will type Python 3, then stock_data.py. And if you save the file and go on the Airflow UI, you obtain the following output with neutral. And in fact, if you take a look at your XComs, you can see a new XCom with the value neutral. Okay, now what if your script produces multiple lines on the standard output? How can you store them within a XCom? Well, in that case, the only argument that you need to set up is XCom_all. If you set it to true, and let's modify the script. So in that case, you have, let's say you want to get the second recommendation, save the file, build the Docker image, and create a new tag. So let's keep the same one for simplicity, but in that case, you should put v1.0.1, for example. Let's run the DAG again. Now T2 is completed. If you click on it and go to logs, this time you obtain two lines, neutral and by. And again, if you take a look at your XComs, you can see that a new XCom has been created, but this time you have neutral and by within the same XCom. And as you can see, the output is not really clear. Obviously, it will be much clearer if you, for example, if your script produces a JSON value. In case you want to fetch something out of your script, but this won't be printed on the standard output, one thing you can do is to leverage pickle. So for example, here, let's imagine that you want to serialize the following JSON value. In that case, you will use pickle.dump and you will put that within the following file, script.out. Once you have that, again, this is in your script, in your DAG, and more specifically in your Docker operator, you can use two arguments. The first one is retrieve_output equals to true, and then retrieve_output_path equals to, in that case, /tmp/script.out. If you save the file and run the DAG again, as you can see in your XComs, you obtain the following value with test OK. So again, this is truly useful if you have like some values that you want to serialize, but those values are not printed on the standard output. Another thing that I love with the Docker operator is that you can define the resources needed by your task. So for example, you can define the proportion of CPUs that you want. And this is truly useful if you have like multiple tasks using the Docker operator. but you want to say, hey, my task needs more weights compared to the other task because that one is more CPU intensive, for example. And to know how to define this argument, you have to take a look at the documentation of Docker and more specifically to that link. Another argument is mem_limit, which is where you define the maximum amount of memory that your task will use. For example, 1 GB or maybe 512 megabytes. It's up to you, but the point is you can say, okay, I want to make sure that this task won't use more than the mem limit. Okay, so that's the two arguments to control, in a way, the resources used by your task. Another pretty useful argument is auto remove. And actually, I advise you to set it to true always because that one will just remove the Docker container created for your task. You know, it's exactly the equivalent of the command docker rm and then your container ID. So keep that argument set to true. Okay, time to talk about a very important point. What about if you want to mount volumes on your Docker container? How can you do that? Well, first thing first, if you're on macOS, there is something that you need to know, which is you have to enable this setting in order to mount your volume into your Docker container. Otherwise, your Docker container will just time out. Okay, so it is important to know that, and it's only valid for macOS users. Then once you have done that, there is one argument that you need to specify, which is mounts, and this one expects a list of mount objects. So in that case, you need to import docker.types mount, and then you create a mount object as shown right there with the source, so what you want to bind from your machine, to a target corresponding to the mounting point in your Docker container. So in that case, I'm gonna bind the folder scripts from my machine to the folder scripts under the folder tmp in the Docker container. And this folder scripts has one script, output.sh, that I'm going to run right now. So if you go back to the DAG, as you can see, the command is now bash/tmp/script output.sh. Let's see if it works. Go on the Airflow UI, turn on the toggle of docker_dag. Let's wait a little bit. Click on T2 and go to the logs. As you can see, the message is my script. So that means the script has been successfully executed by using a volume. Also, pay attention to the little space that I've added right there. Indeed, if you don't put that space, Airflow will think that this file is actually a template file, and so it won't work because, well, this file is actually a script that you want to execute and not a template file that Airflow should evaluate. Now, there is something else that you absolutely need to know, is that behind the scene, automatically the Docker operator will create a temporary folder, a temporary volume. And this is enabled by default so that if you have like large files that exceed the disk size of 10 gigabytes for a given container, it will work. But you have to be careful because if you run Docker in Docker, so if your Docker operator runs inside a Docker container, then it won't work and you will have to disable that functionality with the argument mount_tmp_dir equals to false. But you can still use the other way of mounting volumes with the argument mounts. Okay, so pretty important to know that, and that is valid only if you use Docker in Docker. One last point, as a best practice, I strongly advise you to always set the container name. So for example, you could specify container_name equals to task_T2. Okay, because, well, if you end up with a lot of Docker containers, it might be very difficult to know what is what if you don't set the container name. Okay, obviously you will have to take a look at the command executed by your Docker container, and that's not what you want. So always define the container name according to your task ID. Okay, so that's it for the Docker operator. There is other things to know, like how can you extend the functionalities of the Docker operator, and more specifically, what if you want to template the mounts argument? How can you share data between two Docker operators, and how can you leverage the new Docker decorator in order to use the Docker operator? So we will see that in another video, but I hope you enjoyed that one. Don't forget to subscribe, like the video, and I see you for our next one. Have a wonderful day.